Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing day so far. If you're new here, hi, my name is Sam. You should go ahead and subscribe down below so you do not miss out on any of my future videos. Okay, so if you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning into another video. Today's video, I'm just going to be talking about how I became a photographer while I had no experience in photography and just things like that. I figured I would just share my experience and what I've been through and how I learned the ins and outs of photography and just share that with you guys. And so yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right into this video. I pushed you guys back and then I scooted forward a little bit. Doesn't make any sense, but we're just gonna go with it. So I'll just start off with my photography journey, as you would call it or people would call it. So I got my very first camera in August of 2016. I didn't know how to use it at all. I honestly let it sit in my room for a couple of months until I actually decided to use it. It wasn't until October when I decided to use my camera for the very first time. Me and my friends had gone to a pumpkin patch, and so I decided to bring my camera along with us and just take photos there. And so that was the very first time I used my camera for photography purposes. And so at the time I didn't know that photography was gonna be my passion or like what I enjoyed doing, but I did do that little session. I wouldn't even call it a session because it was literally just me and my girlfriends taking photos in a pumpkin patch. It was so much fun, and honestly, looking back, it's crazy that I didn't know at the time that this would be my passion and what I love to do. But yeah, so I photographed my first session, or whatever you want to call that, in October of 2016. So that is when you could say my journey began. And so I don't even think I edited the photos. I just put them on my computer, sent them to my phone, and then just uploaded them. And so that was that. And then after that, I kind of started having coworkers ask me if I could take their photos and stuff, and I was charging so cheap. I think, I'm not even kidding, I was charging like $30 for a session for coworkers and stuff, just because I wanted to make some form of money if I was going to be putting in effort into meeting them, taking the photos, editing them, or however you want to call it, and then sending it back to them and stuff. So I figured I would just make a little bit of money if I was going to be putting effort into doing that for my coworkers. So I was literally charging $30. I did that 3 times. For 3 sessions, I charged $30. After that, after those 3 sessions, I started getting more people wanting me to photograph for them. And so I realized, okay, I can't keep doing this for $30. Like, I need to start going higher. So then I went to $50. And so the $50 was something that I was like, okay, let me slowly try and get the ball rolling and see where it takes me. So I did $50 sessions. Those went really well. And well, I only did one $50, no, probably like 2 $50 sessions, or maybe 3. And then after that, I bumped it from 50 to 80. And so I was getting a couple of $80 sessions, which were really good considering that I was like new at this, wasn't sure what I was doing. And this was all in starting 2017 to through 2018 is when this time period was going on. So after the $80, I started pushing towards 100, and then from 100 I started pushing to 150. And so 150 is what I was at these past couple of months, and so that was doing pretty good for me. I'm still getting like clients and stuff, and now I'm leaning towards 200 for just a regular session, which is actually still pretty cheap considering a lot of photographers charge $500, $400, at least $300 for a session. But yeah, so that is my little photography journey. I started off super low, and then I started working my way up with getting practice and just you kind of just start from the bottom and you start working your way up, which is what I did. And so before I started that whole photography journey, I did not know how to use a camera whatsoever. I had to teach myself what ISO, shutter speed, aperture, like what those things are and how they play a role into combining themselves into one specific thing for one specific purpose. I had to learn how to start shooting in manual mode, which manual mode takes a little bit of time to understand, just because, like I said, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, all of that, like it plays a part into that. And so I had to learn how to shoot in manual mode, and that for me was, it wasn't hard, but it definitely did take a little bit of practice. So I did that, and then while I did that, I was watching YouTube videos on what other photographers do. I was looking on Pinterest for inspiration and just things like that, and I was just shooting photos. Like, honestly, if you want to be a photographer, the first thing you need to do is learn the ins and outs of your camera, and then start shooting. Like, go practice. And then I also taught myself how to use Lightroom. I taught myself how to use Photoshop. I'm still not like a pro at Photoshop. I wish I knew Photoshop more than I do right now, but I mean, it still gets me by and things like that. And then I had to obviously invest in gear. So my very first camera was the Nikon D3300. My dad actually gave me that camera in August of 2016. So that was my very first camera. I would say, how long did I use it? I would say after like a year and a half of just having the Nikon D3300, I finally bought a new lens for the camera. So I bought the Tamron 75 to 300 millimeter lens. That helped me a lot when it came to sports photography. I did a lot of sports photography, mainly baseball photos and things like that. So I would shoot those. Those were a lot of fun. My 75 to 300 Tamron lens was really good for sports photography. And then after that, I bought the Canon T6i, and I specifically bought the Canon T6i because I wanted to use it for YouTube purposes, because it did have the flip out screen. So I used the Canon T6i for about 5 months, I would say. I bought that camera, I think, in February or March of this year. And then I bought the 50mm 1.8 lens for the Canon T6i. So the Canon T6i was really, really good for me. I loved it for using it for YouTube videos and for photography, especially using the 50mm 1.8 lens. That really upped my, I would say, my quality in the photos. Even though it wasn't the best, it still upped it. And now I actually have the Canon 80D, which is what I'm shooting on right now. I've had this camera for not even like 3 days. I actually just bought it. And if you can tell from the quality, I'm just like so in love with this camera. I've been wanting this camera for so long. My photography mentor, which is just what I call her because she's literally, she mentors me through everything. My photography mentor, Lisa, actually has this camera. I just want to give a shout out to Lisa. Lisa let me do like, be like a second shooter for one of my friends' weddings. So I got to shoot a wedding and stuff alongside of Lisa, which was so much fun. Lisa has been such a great resource for me and such help. So always find a photographer that you can look up to that can help you when you need help and when you have questions. Another photographer that is my go-to is Samuel Ray. He is literally phenomenal. Like, I have never seen photos as good as Samuel Ray's. His photography is just literally insane, as well as Lisa's. Lisa's photography is so beautiful. She has this just mood and this just style to her photos that I just look up to. And then Samuel Ray is just an amazing photographer. You guys should check him out. I will leave both of their Instagrams in the description box if you wanted to check them out. But always have a photographer that you can look up to. never copy someone's style or try to do exactly what another photographer is doing. Always be creative, do your own thing, find your own style, and just start shooting is honestly the best advice that I can give anybody. And so just having the resources that I do and having the people who are uplifting in my life and things like that have been great. So yeah, so like I was saying, Lisa has the Canon 80D, and so I really want the Canon 5D Mark IV, but that camera is like $4,000, and I don't have $4,000. I don't know if you do, but I don't. So I just ended up just getting the Canon 80D for now. And so far I love this camera. It's beautiful. I'm just like, I literally feel like a pro having this camera. It's just so beautiful. With this camera, I have the 18 to 55 millimeter lens, which I believe it is 3.5. And then I also have the 50 millimeter at 1.8. So now I have two of those because the 50 millimeter at 1.8 came with the Canon 80D as well. And then I also have the 40 millimeter at 2.8, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'll just leave what it actually is on the screen. But honestly, it's really good to just know your camera, learn how to shoot in manual mode, and then honestly find your style, play with colors. I actually use Lightroom to edit my photos in Photoshop, so create your own presets and then just start continuously using your presets, and you'll honestly just create your own style. That's honestly the best way I could describe it. And then also I would say invest in a good camera. Make sure you invest in good equipment. Like I have an amazing tripod. I actually have quite a few tripods. I have like 3, and then a ring light, and I have a light diffuser, which has been really helpful for like nighttime photography and stuff like that. So I like to use the light diffuser whenever I need extra light. And so little things like that make a big difference, I would say. And so it's honestly just about investing into things that you know is going to help you. And the best thing to do is just go out and practice. And honestly, I would say it's been about 3 years since I started, and I'm still learning different techniques and different editing styles and just so many different things. So you're not going to learn this in one day. It takes practice and time and just dedication, honestly, and just believe in yourself, because I wish I would have believed in myself from the very beginning. Because my work, I'm satisfied with the work that I produce right now, and I wish I would have been that way when I first started and kind of just believed in myself a little bit more, because I probably would have started pricing at a decent price when I first started, and now I would probably be way above that, which is kind of, I would just be higher, if that makes sense, in pricing and stuff. So just don't doubt your abilities and just do what you love. Honestly, this is what I love, and it's what's worked best for me and stuff like that. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything related to like what cameras I use or what lenses I have, or like the tripods or the mic that I'm using, or like the ring light that I have, or honestly anything like that, light diffuser, leave your questions down below. I'll be sure to answer them for you. Make sure to check out Lisa's Instagram and Samuel's Instagram in the description box. I'll also leave my photography page if you guys want to check that out too. And yeah, that is all that I have for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.